for the physios, there could be, even if it's a commercial product, so you could adjust like the difficulty level or the part where the training takes part. Like for example, if you have some neurological condition or something, then you have to be able to switch the different things, like where the foods are coming or how big is the area or something like that. But you can easily make up new rules as well, like use only one leg or to play it, so you can make it easily very hard as well. So it's a very scalable thing. So sorry, now I let others talk as well.
Yeah, I would have. It was great to see that you had been doing with like elderly people inside reviews also. And
remember the vote.
what did you? Yeah, but how did it feel to how these like interviews went when you met the elderly people?
At the beginning, it was they were just asking what we. They were just saying what we asked, but then when they got relaxed, it was quite nice experience. They were talking and they were saying what they would like to have, and it was fun after a while.
Yeah.
They were really creative.
Yeah.
When they get to that point.
But that took a time.
Yeah.
That's very Finnish. Everything takes time.
And when you had the like interviews with the elderly people and the professionals, so did you kind of do you feel that you were able to find a like value for the like both point of view, this elderly and because it looked like that in the video, cause
yeah, I think actually I'm sure they were happy with the game and they were excited and they were thinking that they could play it again and again.
Actually, it was fun because first when we started the interviews, they said, "Oh, I don't really use any devices. Maybe just a normal phone and a smartphone." and then when they tried the game, they were pretty excited.
I just say that I was really happy of your process. I think it was good from the beginning with the user interviews and then also having the validations and iteration based on the validations and also having then the considering the scaling for the other markets you may have. But now
cool.
We still have time for a question anytime from the audience if there's some comments, questions. No?
What have you yourself learned?
Yeah, that one.
Teamwork with the different people with a different background, and the point that you always learn something new when you are talking with people, with elderly people. You really have to concentrate on that and listen what they are saying.
Yeah, I think the teamwork, and it was really interesting to see kind of what kind of skills you find in people when you kind of put different backgrounds together. So that was really interesting to see.
And then I would like to add the importance of the short-term goals. Really good to get up and going.
Yeah, of course the teamwork and all that you guys said, which I already forgot. But for me, mostly using the sensor, using the like linear acceleration, gyroscope, all that, like the technical stuff, and just knowing how to use it and how to work with it.
I don't know, I have less feedback. I'm second year student, so I don't have that much like building or project experience, and this was quite nice to see the process, how you like within a team, you like develop a product and like working and not only with like other physios or other nurses or doctors, like with an engineer, also social workers. Importance of a coordinator within the team.
Yeah, as they say, the teamwork and also planning for the project and also how to develop again. These kind of
I'm happy to hear all of you heard important things.
English.
Have you got one now? Have you got one now?
Joo. Mä en pistä sua ääneen aika hiljaiselle lukkoon, aika sit koulua, kun ruvetaan puhumaan. Näkyykö toi esitys? Sullahan on toista. No, kato.
Okay, hi everybody. We're a 40 team, and first we're going to do a small introduction. So, starting from Johanna.
Hi, I'm Johanna from Business Administration.
Hi, I'm Omar. I'm an engineering student.
I'm Arthur, and I'm a computing student to Azure main.
I'm Violeta, and I'm a physiotherapy student.
My name is Valerio, and I'm a nursing student.
I'm Jeremy, and I'm getting study.
Okay, so what our product is a game app meant for the Yeti tablet, which is a very accessible tablet. It has a large screen, it is very hard wearing, you can punch it, you can kick it, it's not going to budge. For our purpose, it is also extremely accessible. The screen is very easy to use, which in our case, we are developing an app that is to exercise upper limb motor skills, rough and fine motor skills. So this tablet is pretty much the perfect device you can use with it because it doesn't require precise touch. You can use it with a whole hand, you can use it with a spastic hand, you can also move things around with a piece of paper or a tool, like a brush or a special made 3D printed tool. So the purpose of our game app is to complement a healthcare package, which is to be promoted to mostly facilities with the Yeti tablet. So our kind of main aim is that the tablet is for people that are in need to exercise their upper limb motor skills, and we have plenty of options here. We have people with developmental skills. They can be children, adults, or elderly. We have people that are rehabilitating after injury, shoulder injury, elbow, wrist, as well as neck. In more working age adults and elderly, we have issues with stroke, particularly brain stroke, which in Finland is a very big issue, particularly the alcohol-induced ones. So this is one way for us to rehabilitate, in a way, injury-based problem. However, we also have elderly people which with age, as the bone density goes smaller, they get shorter. In general, they stop using the upper part of their body more. They prefer everything to be in lower parts and don't turn around as much, don't lift as much. So we get this general postural issue and weakening of the upper body muscles, which are then linked to weaker grip strength, and that increases fall risk. So we're trying to affect all of these things. I know it's a lot, but there are many issues that we can affect through our game concept and through the Yeti tablet as a user.
Well, let's maybe specify that the scope of this game or software process, and this game they should go along as well, because this is for a concept of gamification. So it's giving more time for the rehabilitation to happen, and it's giving also a chance to the patient to get more involved into it, to get an active role, to get attracted to it. So
yeah, the main place where we want to have this tablet is in facilities. So ideally, places like elderly homes or other facilities that don't have regular or at all access to physiotherapy, and this would be minimal assistance for maybe one nurse member or not at all if the patients can do it. So it is to motivate the people to exercise through a very entertaining way, and not just have the usual list of exercises that people usually stick in a drawer and forget about it, and just nod when the physio asks them on the next check, did you do your exercises? Yes, sure I did, without any improvement whatsoever. So this is where we want the product to work in this kind of environment.
and also the product gives the chance to keep track of the records of the person. So there is also a way to see if there is any improvement in the treatment or if there is a downgrade.
So we started by reflecting in our group all together to try to find a game which can be helpful for all these kind of patients. Then we did some surveys to ask for their patients if they will be able to do it, be enjoying to do it, and we had some response, and then we started to create the game. So I'll let Romain talk about the app development first, before the demo.
So the main idea was to get a first prototype. So we worked, the idea was that there will be some, there will be some shapes that would be drawn on screen and that the user would have to reproduce. So for example, here it's just a simple line that I need to reproduce. Okay. And then the more you advance in the game, the more complicated the shapes will be. So for example, for that it's a simple gesture. If I do that, I will get a really low score for this one. So you can see that we have the most challenging part of this game was to actually compare what the user was drawing on screen and compare it to the different gestures that we already recorded in the game. So that was the hardest part. As I said, the main idea was to get this first prototype on which we could build upon later. So now we have a really working prototype that is quite recognizing what the user is doing quite accurately. And then after that, it is just a matter of adding more gestures to the game and to maybe just continue testing with elderly people or child or things like that to see what is the best scenario on which they would like to play this. So for example, now it's just like a basic scene, but the idea would be like for elderly people to have kind of one theme game, and for the child to have something that is more fun to do, that is more colorful or things like that. And with more, and after that, we also need to improve the reward process, because for now it's just a score that is displayed on screen, but we still need to think about how we can actually make people want to play the game more and implicate them a lot more in the game.
So for those who are in this side, maybe you can't see the tablet, so we have a small video of what is doing in the tablet right now. So that's the sound. So we can see his mouse, so that's his hand. He's doing some shapes, and when he's correct, kind of correct, you can see that you will have kind of an explosion. So that wasn't correct. For example, this one is much more better. So you'll have an explosion to say that's okay, that's a good one. Then that's fucking wrong. So that's better, and then you can restart again. You can restart again and then play again. That's it.
I can talk about the motivation behind why are we doing a drawing game, why we're drawing the shapes. This is based on cognitive training for children with autism, because oftentimes they would, depending on how severe the problem is, they would refuse to do certain movements, for example circles or certain shapes. And having a more familiar thing, in this case is mostly letters, they would already know what to do, so they don't need extra explaining on this. And the interactive way is also cognitive training as well as physical. The shapes, of course, now they're very small, but it can be adapted to the different size. So in this case, you get a very small area, but if you get a very large area, your movement is going to become a lot bigger, and it can be adjusted based on what the person's ability is. So this is why we're having a drawing game, even for elderly.
For next feature, our task is to try to get sort of different types of feedback, either by children or by elderly. So since we don't have a specific target audience, we must produce a product which is different for the typology of people that are going to use it.
Okay, so basically now we've got the most difficult part working, which was the shape recognition part. So the next steps would be to add a menu and an account page so that we can record the progress of the users, and so physiotherapists could use these records in order to see improvements or if things are going better. Then we could also add different game modes to work specific parts or specific movements to adjust the quickness of the game mode or everything like that. And then it's about the gamification, making the whole process better, like making the user want to play to practice. So this is basically the purpose of the app.
We were thinking about different menus, like adding more special effects or maybe change of scenarios, some animation, but that takes time, as the programmers were telling us. So exactly, not about.
So I think that's done for our presentation. If you have some questions or feedbacks on what you want.
We kept it short as you asked.
Yes, thank you very much. So, would you like to give some feedback
Absolutely.
from the company's point of view?
So I was loving the presentation of the previous team already, because I don't have to make any sales talks, because you have really found what tablet is and how it should be utilized. And so it's not a device, but without the right content, it remains a device. So very well spotted, and you understood the problematics. I understand the physiotherapy and what is your background, but you understand it very well. Lauri is here in the other end who kicked off this, so he has seen you now. Thank you for the whole team. You have done an excellent work. And I think we discussed in the beginning already that let's see how this looks like, but there is probably a reason to further develop this together with you. And very many points what you mentioned in the beginning are exactly what we are after. So these are not just games. So when you are getting deeper in the area of what we are trying to solve, like autism and all those things, you have to more and more carefully think about what is really the game and what it's doing and what it's making the player to do. And you have spotted out very well. So I think very well done. And well, you never know, this may be the most selling play or game in the Google Play or wherever. Let's see what we are doing with this. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Oh, Lauri, do you have anything to ask?
Yeah,
Thanks, Lauri. And thank you.
And thank you very much as well, and for the feedback and for giving this assignment. And I think you like described very well like what they have achieved. So I would say also that I was amazed how well you like understood the additional value of this size tablet, which has like these features. And I was even thinking that this could work like as a multiplayer game as well if you further develop it. So that's, I think, another plus that this device allows you to do. So usually like games for tablets are like one-player games since the size is so small. But with this one you could also use it like the size. So that could be also an additional feature in the future. But as they were saying, that I think that tells a lot that if they are willing to further develop and so you got like the point that they were after. And I was really amazed with your talk, how how many user groups and how scalable, and actually most of these kind of useful games you don't understand if you see, you just say that okay, this is drawing lines, but when you explain what's behind it and why this is important, and adding like the data analytics there, so there you have like the very beneficial thing.
Yeah, the idea we have behind it is because it is such a big device, it is definitely not a personal use device. It is not something you just want to get for your home because of also the cost. So we were focusing on, okay, what kind of institutional settings we can implement this. So we're talking kindergarten, special needs schools, or schools, as well as nursing homes, palvelukotis, that would be able to afford this and that may not yet have access to physiotherapy. And with Valerio we discussed a lot who were we going to send the questionnaire to, who might be buying it, because in both our practices, clinical practices, there is a big issue with nursing homes that there is not enough physiotherapy for people who live there, and it is important to maintain, especially with upper limb motor skills, it improves their quality of life. They can dress on their own, they can eat on their own, and of course we were advised to do rough motor skills, so very big arm movements, but this also has the potential of doing very fine motor skills, stuff like opening and closing, something that people with spasticity might not really want to do, but is also essential for eating independently, or buttoning a shirt, or very, very basic daily skills. So it is a fun game, but it is also exercise game. It is not just a fun way to pass the time. And I think in if we go with the institutional setting, it will be a social event. The tablet will be there. People can use it on their own, or they can be put once a week, twice a week by nursing staff, have some fun games for an hour, and this will be enough for rehabilitation, for maintaining or improving even your ability. So there are so many implications, but of course we have to narrow down what is most common for Finland and what we can affect.
And next you can combine your and the previous team, so you could do this kind of balance.
Yes.
So I think one aspect that I thought was really good that potentially you could explore further as well if you refine the application is that there wasn't like a negative connotation with it, which I think is really good, especially for these special user groups, because it can be so easy to be frustrated and then, oh, I'm not playing that anymore. So I think it was really nice that there wasn't like a, you didn't do well, or you just get a score associated with it. Yeah. So I think that was really, it's a really important feature, is to have that positive reinforcement. So I think that was really nice to see as well.
What about you guys? You have something to add?
Yeah.
Go ahead. Yeah.
All right. Yeah, it was really nice to see this live, because it was so like, when I heard this like task, when this task was given to you, so there were like kind of big picture in my mind how it looks, and now there's like something live and something different than I thought, and it's like really nice to hear how you are talking about these like all these different aspects where this could be used and these like different needs and you're kind of, it looks like you have like really like taken this problem to your problem and started solving it, not just like as a task for this like project, but really doing the